And the Cador State Park is offering us a pretty good offer to be out there doing this preliminary archaeology, as some people call it, a site discovery. We actually spent 2 years ago. We were out there for I was out there for about 2 weeks working with somebody else on a magnetometer survey to try to locate where Marianne Furnace sat. We think we have a really good idea of where it was.
Well, we made it to Cador's, and we're getting ready now for an orientation meeting. Everybody's excited, ready to go.
Hello. Confirmation. Yes. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good job.
We have some very talented students here.
Okay, what's your name?
Orientation here as fast as we can, okay? Because we know you want to get out there and get started. So.
What we're going to do is we're going to grab a plastic bag, one of the little bags, to put it in the bag.
Guys, come on, get those things for the document. No, first we need JJ. We don't need phone numbers. Yeah, we do.
You can at least document what you think.
So what have you guys found so far?
Slag. Slag and iron ore.
Slag and iron ore.
No, we haven't found iron.
Well, work is really starting to go now. We got our squares started, working down slowly into the more productive layers.
You can see the
While most of the work is going on down below there, up on top of the hill, work also continues to see what can be found up here. Lots of artifacts, stone being examined, analyzed. That is a nice square. Meanwhile, up here, work is really progressing.
Now I've got stuff that's
Doing some fancy screening, taking notes,
I got stuff down in the 30s.
making things happen.
Don't dig any deeper.
While work continues up here,
Down around to the sides there, down to that level.
far down in the valley,
Just
work's continuing there.
Down to the sides here. And stay away from this area right here.
A lot of work continuing down here. Well, with all these tarps, it looks like a real professional site here. Going over our plans for today. You can see the depth that they got to. Well, as work continues down below, we moved up here to the top. And of course, there's a lot of people up here to supervise and make sure everything goes right as the work continues. And over here is Steve in Israel. He's doing his best to make sure they're doing this right. Guide his students.
There's a rubber here.
Yeah, we're going to leave that there. In the bag.
This looks like another piece of brick.
The brush is really not useful here. I would say no. Well, how much have you counted it for?
Are you having fun?
Yeah. It's too bad we'll only be here for an hour.
Well, enjoy it. I'll try and get you as you slide into the water. Well, our group seems to be having quite a nice time here. Have to find the right position. Great talent.
The fellow that made these at the Marion Furnace apparently Thompson was part of the Navy. So we think a lot of this armament was made of it was for the United States Navy, which was in Philadelphia during the Revolutionary War. We had a hard time because the British outnumbered us in ships and everything. So they would have been smaller ones, and you would use this and you'd shoot at another ship because what would you want to break? The rudder of the boat or the sail. They have a sail. One of these would go through and smack a sail. They would break it, and you just don't go and get another sail. You crippled that ship. Now, this one here was too. What begins to happen is...
Was it found in the first one?
This was all found over at the Marion Furnace. It wasn't shipped in battle. It never made it.
Oh.
But another thing I've learned, they were telling me that sometimes these are called incas, like incas, which wasn't for armament. They used it to ship it for iron. They would take this, hundreds of these, and then melt them down to make a real cannonball. You got to be very important. You see the defect here? When you put that in your cannon, you shoot it, you don't want any defects because that bore of that cannon can get ruined. And you know how long it takes for an army to be able to get a cannon. They're very expensive, very heavy to pull with horses. So a lot of these, and that one there might be impurities that they would take in, and they would take these and then they would have somebody machine it. They had to come out perfect. They had an inspector because you don't want to send that out to your army and then it wreck your gun.
Yeah, watch those little cannonballs there.
You'll see inside stove plates. Those are replicas. They're not the real things, but they're replicas of ones that have been found or bought that were made at Marion Furnace. The stove plates.
Looking at some of the artifacts here in the museum. Stove plate. And as we go over here, you can see more stove plates. Marion Furnace. Well, it's Thursday morning. Hot, steamy morning out here. We're ready for another exciting day.
Where one? How do you say your name? There you go.
Okay, now this is a piece of the stove plate, and where was that found?
It's a piece of the stove plate found right across the road here in the creek.
Right across the road.
So you don't want to really fill the
So there are some pretty nice artifacts still around here.
It's probably tough to find them because there's so much raw ore.
Right. So what's being found over here today?
rocks.
Rocks.
Different soil.
Different soil and rocks.
And roots. Don't forget the roots. Yes, don't forget the roots. Never forget the roots.
Any iron?
No. Bricks.
Brick?
What I'd like to do is that, how often would you bathe 1700?
Once every, like, 2 months.
Yeah, in the winter, probably once a month, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. In the summer, maybe every couple of weeks, right?
They got down to the basic layer.
Who likes paper?
This is where the ground was back when the furnace was constructed. Stevens photographing this board. This is part of the whole thing, trying to make this as scientific and complete as possible record. Starting up on top of the hill.
Seems where except different. Ours is 3 feet there. Okay, I am Mason, this is Mark, and this is Travis. We are square 4, and we are called Jackpot. Rescue
Well, as you can see, we had some visitors last night.
Poor things, they fell in and they can't get out.
I think I'm gonna get one. I got one.
These are little toads.
Are they baby ones? Oh, poor toads.
Look at that.
Don't hurt them. Don't drop it.
Well, work's coming to an end. They're starting to fill in the holes now. Everything's recorded. They put down some plastic bags to make sure that the holes can be discovered and see how far they were dug by future diggers.
Give me 5.
Clap for everyone.
Yeah, you're right.